My mother worked as a live-in helper for a wealthy family. Because her employers held her in high regard, they permitted her children to study alongside their young master as his companions. My younger sister declared that as the elder sister, I shouldn't contend with her, and so, to her satisfaction, she was admitted to the elite academy. I, on the other hand, continued my studies at an ordinary school. 5 years later, I was on the verge of graduating from university. Star died overseas, her body riddled with wounds from severe abuse. On my way to retrieve her body, I was caught in a traffic accident. The next thing I knew, my eyes fluttered open, and I was back on the very day of that fateful decision. Without a moment's hesitation, I chose to become the young master's study companion. My younger sister merely watched in silence, offering no protest. I knew then that she had also returned. This time, we were swapping roles once more. Mother beckoned Star Tran and me closer, her face alight with excitement. Madame Lu mentioned that young Master Lucien is the same age as one of our daughters, and she's asking which of you would like to be his study companion. All tuition and living expenses will be fully covered, and there'll even be monthly pocket money. The offer was undeniably tempting. No more grueling studies. Simply attend to young Master Lucien well, and upon graduating from the elite high school, one could immediately pursue studies abroad or even join him to work at the company. After enumerating all the advantages, Mother finally asked, "Luna, Star, which of you would like to go?" Star Tran was suddenly uncharacteristically silent. She was the type who loved to play, abhorred studying, and detested any form of hardship. Becoming the young master's study companion was practically a role tailor-made for her. In the previous life, the moment she heard the offer, she couldn't sit still, eagerly raising her hand and exclaiming, "I'll go! I'll go!" She then pouted and pleaded with me, "Luna, you're the older sister, and you're so good at studying. You shouldn't compete with me for this opportunity." Although I also yearned for the learning environment of the elite academy, I knew that this opportunity would be better suited for Star Tran. So I smiled and nodded. "No, I won't compete with you." This time around, Star Tran merely lowered her head in silence. Even Mother found it odd. "Star, what's wrong? I thought you'd be fighting tooth and nail for this." Star Tran forced a smile. "I'm too lazy," she mumbled, "and I can't hold my tongue. I'm not suited to serving the young master." Let big sister go. I was certain. She had been reborn too. Mother found her reasoning sound and immediately turned to me. "Luna, would you like to go?" I replied calmly, "This time, I will go." Star Tran turned to look at me, a peculiar glint in her eyes. "Big sister," she said, "I knew you loved me the most." Once the decision was made, my school transfer procedures were swiftly handled. Under Madame Lu's arrangements, I moved into the villa to live with Lucien Lu, sharing both meals and residence. Lucien Lu, 15 years old, was still not quite fully grown, yet his aristocratic aura was already plainly evident. He observed me, the new arrival, his gaze filled with thinly veiled disdain. He asked coolly, "Have you showered yet?" I understood at once. He was mocking my tanned complexion. In the previous life, Star Tran had also been subjected to this type of bullying. Such remarks had deeply wounded her, making her self-conscious about her skin tone. She sought every means to whiten it, so much so that in the photos I later received, she resembled a bloodless doll. I responded with a tone that perfectly mirrored his own. "Last night, there was a water outage in our building, so no, I haven't showered." Lucien Lu immediately wrinkled his nose in disgust. "How filthy!" he spat. "If you haven't showered, don't you dare come near me." "Very well, I'll go shower first then." I smoothly glided past him, following Butler Zhang upstairs. Butler Zhang couldn't help but advise, "The young master is quite particular about cleanliness. From now on, you absolutely must remember to shower daily." I thanked him politely. "Thank you for the reminder, Butler Zhang. I'll remember." Butler Zhang departed, looking satisfied. I set my clothes down and entered the bathroom to wash myself thoroughly. That evening, it was just Lucien Lu and I for dinner. His parents were rarely home, which was precisely why they sought someone to keep him company. Lucien Liu found me utterly displeasing, no matter what I did. Every time he looked up from his meal, he'd cast a withering glare my way. I feigned ignorance, burying my head in my food and eating heartily. Clang! With a loud clang, Lucien Liu flung his chopsticks onto the table. Butler Zhang beside him broke out in a cold sweat, while I continued to eat with my head down, as heartily as ever. This young master had been coddled and pampered since childhood, treated like a delicate egg. He had never encountered someone as thick-skinned as me, someone who completely disregarded a few taunts. Naturally, he couldn't possibly tolerate it. "Are you a pig? Is all you know how to do eat?" His voice was laced with irritation and sarcasm. I finished my last mouthful, took a napkin to wipe my mouth, and leisurely spoke. "Young master, we're in a crucial developmental stage. Eating plenty is essential for growing tall. Have you reached 6 feet yet?" Lucien Liu could tolerate no more, and he bellowed, "Get out! Get out of my sight right now!" Getting out was certainly not an option. I leisurely made my way straight upstairs. I knew that provoking Lucien Liu in such a manner wouldn't end well. For him, dealing with me fundamentally wouldn't even require him to lift a finger. I took out a diary. The handwriting within was a hurried scribble, betraying the writer's haste, yet burdened with so much left unsaid. I flipped through nearly the entire diary, then carefully put it away. The following day, I rode to school alongside Lucien Liu. His class was filled entirely with affluent scions from equally wealthy and influential families, boasting all kinds of connections. They congregated into small cliques, with Lucien Liu's group being the most prominent. Money was one thing, but their striking looks were what truly made them stand out. As I stood on the podium, introduced to the entire class by our homeroom teacher, a wave of mocking laughter immediately erupted from below. Did she just crawl out of the mud? Good heavens, how utterly provincial. Doesn't she reek? Make sure you don't come near me. Every word, every sneer distinctly reached my ears. I could vividly imagine how bewildered and mortified Star Tran must have been standing here. At the ordinary school, she was universally beloved for her sweet disposition and willingness to help others. Everyone wanted to be her friend. My face turned cold. I swept my gaze over every single person below, and gradually, the laughter ceased. "My name is Luna Tran. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance." The homeroom teacher pointed to an empty seat at the back of the classroom. "Luna Tran," he instructed. "Please take a seat next to Cedric Cumpy." Cedric Ko, a young master notoriously difficult to approach, was known to have serious personality issues, even worse than Lucien Liu. I walked towards the seat and set my bag down. At that moment, Cedric Ko, who had been drowsing with his eyes closed, abruptly opened them and fixed his gaze on me, his eyes sharp and brimming with savage, murderous intent. "Who told you that you could sit here?" "The teacher did." I calmly began rearranging my belongings. Cedric Ko continued to glare at me. When he saw me calmly settling into the seat, he abruptly stood, kicking the table I was at, sending it flying with a resounding crash. The entire class fell into stunned silence. Even the homeroom teacher didn't dare utter a single word. I looked at him, my smile a mixture of tolerance and weary helplessness. "It must be quite a struggle to rein in that violent temper of yours, isn't it? Yet, you've already proven capable of it." With that, I calmly went to right the table myself, then asked earnestly, "Do you want to kick it again? You're welcome to kick it one more time, but if you kick the table, you're certainly not allowed to kick me." I was subtly reminding everyone, including him, that he was a person with violent tendencies. Cedric Ko had certainly never been played like this. He immediately lunged and seized my collar. I instantly covered my face and shrieked loudly, "Young master, save me!" Lucien Liu let out a faint scoff, then slowly declared, "Cedric, when beating a dog, one must first look to its owner." He released my collar. I feigned fright, patting my chest, and sighed, "The young master truly has the kindest nature." Cedric Ko still looked like he wanted to strike, but he forced himself to hold back due to his relationship with Lucien Liu. I lowered my head to tidy my desk and chair, not missing Lucien Liu's amused smile laced with a hint of satisfaction, nor Cedric Ko's blatant scrutinizing gaze. Everything was gradually deviating from the trajectory of my previous life. I was well aware of my status, so I was always devoted to Lucian Lu. Running errands and fetching water were everyday tasks. My classmates would mock me. "A maid's daughter is certainly good at serving others." I pretended not to hear them. Eventually, they grew bored and stopped bothering to say anything. This semester passed quite peacefully. When the final exam results were released, I ranked third in the class. First place went to a quiet, taciturn girl named Sienna Lynn, and second place was Cedric Cumpin. When the results were posted, Cedric Coe gave me a rare glance, a look that seemed to say, "I didn't expect you to have some brains after all." I turned to look back, smiling easily. "Next time I'll be second." Cedric Coe scoffed, then turned away without another word. When winter break arrived, I finally got to go home. When Star Tran saw me return, a flicker appeared in her eyes before she said, "Sis, you're so pretty now." The Lu family hadn't treated me shabbily. With good skincare products and branded clothes, it was normal for a girl in her developing years to change day by day. I knew I had changed significantly. "Little Star, you're beautiful too," I said, walking over to stroke her long hair, her high ponytail gently swaying. In my previous life, when she had returned home for winter break, her long hair had been cut short, almost to her ears. Back then, I had wondered why she cut it so short, as she always loved long hair. She merely smiled it away. Only in this life did I understand the reason. I gave her a new phone and an envelope containing 5 million. Star Tran picked them up to examine them, then gave a faint smile. "You truly live better than I do. But next semester will surely be tough. Can you handle it?" She propped her chin on her hand, looking at me. I nodded. "I think I'll be fine. What about you? Are you getting used to things?" "Not really," Star Tran complained while fiddling with her phone. "The homework's hard, the water heater keeps breaking, the canteen food is awful, and Mom always nags." I listened silently until she gave a faint smile. "Luna Tran, you'd be fine living anywhere, but I wouldn't." I hugged her from behind. "But we're twin sisters. Our fates have always been intertwined," she replied softly. "Yes, you're right." After winter break, she handed me a newly finished diary. "From now on, you walk your own path." In my previous life, 2 months after winter break, Mom moved back to her hometown to care for Grandma, and I had to transfer schools to follow her. From then on, Star Tran and I only communicated by phone. Gradually, aside from transferring money to me, she rarely contacted me anymore. I smiled, accepting the diary. "I hope we meet again soon." As I packed my luggage to return to the villa, Lucien Lu looked displeased. "It's not even the start of the semester yet, and you didn't want to come back?" I smiled. "It's nothing out of the ordinary, young master. Have you been studying diligently? Can you even surpass me this semester?" The butler, standing nearby, winked, subtly signaling me not to provoke him. Lucian Lu, rendered speechless by my words, stomped upstairs in a huff. I smiled at the butler, then returned to my room. Sitting at my study desk, I saw the diary pages blurred by tears. The bolded words written there read, "That day, when she arrived, my nightmare began. From then on, I was no longer human. I became a dog, to be used by anyone as they pleased." During the second week of the new semester, my class welcomed a transfer student, the very girl mentioned in Star Tran's diary, Charlotte Wan. Charlotte Wan came from a prestigious background. Her face was radiantly beautiful, and her smile was like an angel's. She was Lucian Lu and Cedric Coe's childhood sweetheart, but had transferred abroad to study, only returning now. Both Lucien Lu and Cedric Coe treated her very differently from others, a fact everyone noticed. Classmates began to whisper and gossip about the relationship between the three of them. I overheard snippets, surprised that I was even mentioned. When she first learned I was studying with and tutoring Lucien Lu, Charlotte Wan showed no sign of disgust. Instead, she smiled brightly and pulled my hand, deliberately saying to Lucien Lu, "Ah Hook has such a bad temper. Luna must have had it tough." Not only was Lucien Lu not angry, he seemed a little flustered. "How am I ill-tempered? And if you think I am, then don't be my friend anymore." He even acted sulky. Charlotte Wan was all too familiar with his childish sulking and quickly pacified him with a few gentle words. Had I not personally witnessed her cold, expressionless face as she quietly wiped the hand that had just held mine, I might have even doubted whether Star Tran and I had encountered the same person. Fortunately, it was indeed her. This arrogant and ruthless young lady hadn't changed one bit. On the day of the sports festival, I somehow found myself registered for the 3,000-meter run. I knew for certain someone had played a trick. The PE monitor looked at me with a gloating expression. "The roster can't be changed, so you'd better diligently practice these next few days." I secretly observed the expressions of my classmates. A few showed a flicker of worry on my behalf, but most wore faces eager for a spectacle. In my previous life, Star Tran had also been forced to register in the same way. Back then, she had been severely bullied and hadn't dared to resist, so she gritted her teeth and ran. The result was her fainting right in the middle of the sports field, and not a single person took her to the infirmary. It was only by chance that the school doctor happened to pass by, discovered her, and took her away. This time, it was me. My only remaining shred of sensitivity was directed entirely towards Star Tran. As for everyone else, I treated them with detached indifference. "Young master!" I shot to my feet, calling loudly towards the front of the class where Lucien Liu sat. "Young master! Young master! Young master!" He was talking to Charlotte Wan and turned back, annoyed. "Shut up, what is it?" "I was put down for the 3,000-meter run. I can't run that. I'll probably die after finishing it. You're the young master, come up with a solution." I said this without an ounce of shame. Lucien Liu. Charlotte Wan. In the end, I didn't have to run the 3,000 meters. All it took was a casual remark from Lucien Liu. "If she doesn't want to run, then she doesn't have to." And the PE monitor immediately struck my name from the list. Cedric Coe, sitting nearby, sneered coldly. "Bookworm. So what if I'm a bookworm? Are you going to hit me? Why would I hit you?" "Then never mind." Cedric Coe was so furious he gnashed his teeth, flipping through his book with loud rustling sounds. I knew Charlotte Wan was looking our way, but I pretended not to notice. In the following days, my life became significantly livelier. One time, I went to the restroom and someone splashed water all over me. Soaking wet, I returned to class and stood directly in front of Lucien Liu. "Young master," I declared, "someone's hitting your dog without a care for its owner." Lucien Liu nearly choked on his drink, and the entire class looked at me with various expressions, clearly not expecting me to be so brazen. After that, no one dared to splash water on me again, but they began stuffing dead rats into my desk. I picked up the rat by its tail and walked up to Lucien Liu, calling out with a serious expression, "Young master, someone's hitting your dog and disrespecting its owner again." Lucien Liu looked at the bloody, mangled dead rat and nearly gagged. He shrieked, "Get away from me!" Feigning heartbreak, I carried the rat back to my desk and offered it to Cedric Company. "Young Master Coe," I said, "if you take this rat, we can immediately sign a master-servant contract." Cedric Coe's face turned ashen, yet he actually seemed to be considering it. Lucien Liu, having just regained his composure, snapped irritably, "I told you to throw that rat away! Get back here!" From that day on, no one dared to stuff dead rats into my desk again. After the dead rat incident, the pranks became more sophisticated, like malicious framing. A girl from the next class reported losing a gold bracelet. Due to its high value, the school immediately checked the security cameras. After checking, they found footage of me walking past her. When she returned to class, she claimed the bracelet had vanished, so the security guard and the teacher came and ransacked my desk. Sure enough, a gold bracelet was found in my drawer. Everyone looked at me with just as we expected eyes, as if my poverty automatically made me a thief. The teacher looked disappointed. "Luna Tran, even if you—" "Teacher, don't be so quick to despair," I interrupted. "Send it for fingerprinting. Let's see if I've ever touched it." That one sentence left the teacher utterly speechless. The girl awkwardly retorted at once, "You probably wore gloves when you stole it then." I feigned indifference. "Bring out the evidence," I said. Young master, someone is—" "Silence!" Lucien Liu stepped forward, his voice edged with a headache. "Check it thoroughly. It's not her." The girl was about to continue when Cedric Coe suddenly interjected. "At most, she only ever sneaks fruit from the cafeteria to eat." Without a shred of shame, I admitted, "It's because it's delicious. I just want to eat more." The teacher and the entire class now trusted me. I turned to look at the group behind. Charlotte Wan's gaze was icy. I simply offered her a bland smile. According to the diary, the most pivotal turning point in StarTran's life was Lucien Liu's birthday party. At that time, StarTran was struggling, caught amidst the isolation, bullying, and malicious accusations at school. Charlotte Wan, the one who had truly pushed her to the abyss, made no attempt to hide her contempt and malice. With a sweet voice and a gentle smile, she forced StarTran at the birthday party to crawl on all fours, bark like a dog, and forbade her from speaking human words. That was the last straw, the final crushing blow that utterly broke StarTran. She gathered every ounce of courage, asking Lucien Liu to stop their shared studies. She simply wanted to go home. Lucien Liu sneered, pulling out a video clip of the party scene. His voice was light as air. "You can leave, but this clip will go viral. A money-grubbing girl, desperate to curry favor with the wealthy, barking like a dog at a party, her face perfectly clear. I recall you have a twin sister, don't you? I doubt your sister is any better off." 16-year-old StarTran, in utter despair, compromised. After that, even more brutal humiliations surged like a tide, and she struggled desperately to breathe, to simply exist. At 18, StarTran was forced to become the girlfriend of Charlotte Wan's private driver, a man over 30 years old. He visibly reveled in her pain. StarTran resisted, reported him to the police, and even attempted to escape. She did everything she could possibly think of to save herself, yet not once did she succeed. How much pain did my StarTran endure throughout those 5 years? Before her death, how truly desperate was she? I bit down hard on my thumb to keep from bursting into tears as I read the final page of the diary. On my 23rd birthday, Lucien Liu took me to a party. They forced me to drink alcohol, mixed with drugs. They were all like out-of-control beasts, while Lucien Liu sat in the center, silently watching me. Lunatran, at that moment I was in so much pain. My whole body ached, my head throbbed, my heart hurt. And then I died. I buried my face in the table, trembling as I sobbed, completely unaware of when Lucien Liu had entered the room. He frowned. "You look terribly ugly when you cry." I lowered my head, grabbed a tissue to blow my nose, my voice thick with tears. "Is there something you need, young master?" "Why are you crying?" Lucien Liu scowled, raking a hand through his hair. "Just over those silly pranks?" Pranks? When that word was coined, I doubt anyone ever imagined it would be used to describe such horrors. I reined in my emotions, trying to appear strong. "No," I said. "I just miss home." Lucien Liu seemed struck by something. He turned and left, leaving only one sentence before closing the door. "I'll have Uncle Yu take you home." I knew. His feelings for me were no longer the same as before. I didn't go home, and Lucien Liu seemed quite satisfied. In the past few days, his sarcastic remarks had significantly lessened. Not only that, but the malicious pranks had also stopped entirely. As if possessed, he suddenly insisted on taking me to get a custom-made evening gown for his birthday party. Without a moment's thought, I flat-out refused. Lucien Liu looked annoyed. "Lunatran, don't be so ungrateful." I focused on my book. "I'm merely your classmate and tutor, not some young lady. Why would I need a high-end evening gown? Your diligent studying is the best way to repay me." And once again, Lucien Liu's face flushed with anger, and he stormed off. A few days later, Cedric Coe suddenly asked me, "For Lucien's birthday party, what do you plan to wear?" I was staring intently at a difficult math problem when I blurted out, "A maid's uniform." He fell silent. The next day, he brought another bag, containing a dress from a high-end brand I'd recognized. "For you," he said, placing the bag on my desk with an almost domineering air, making the entire class turn their heads to stare. I recoiled, waving my hand dismissively. No, that's not necessary. Please take it back right away. Since I've given it, just take it. Don't be ungrateful. Sound familiar? Lucian Lu, who knows when he appeared, stood right beside my desk, his face utterly unamused. She's my person. I'll be preparing her dress. Cedric Coe sneered. She can also be my person? Stop squabbling, Charlotte Wan said, tilting her head to look at me. Neither of you have any taste. This weekend, I'll take her to choose a dress. I offered a foolish smile and refused. Evening gowns are terribly expensive. I can't afford them. Of course I'm gifting it to you. What are you even thinking? Charlotte Wan chuckled softly, then lightly tapped my forehead. Poor her. She'd have to frantically wipe her hand afterward. Lucian Lu also nodded. Go ahead and choose. I'll pay. Cedric Coe immediately threw the dress bag into the trash can behind him. If you're not going to take it, then forget it. I looked at him seriously. It's such a waste to throw it away, I said. If you invite me to your birthday party, I could wear this one. Cedric Coe froze, glanced at me, then lowered his head to fiddle with his phone. No regrets. I'll just buy you a fancier one. This minor incident quickly passed. The weekend dress shopping went smoothly. Charlotte Wan didn't pull any stunts. In fact, she genuinely helped me pick out a dress that suited me perfectly. Towards the end of May, Lucian Lu's birthday arrived. The mansion had been incredibly lively these past few days, with maids bustling about decorating and chefs busy preparing the menu. As for me, I was busy taste-testing the dishes. They were absolutely delicious. After eating my fill, I pondered. My fate in this life was entirely different from Star Trans in the last. Would those villains still try to turn against me? On the night of the birthday party, I stood in a corner, elegantly dressed in my beautiful evening gown. Lucian Lu was surrounded in the brightest part of the room, flanked by Cedric Coe, Charlotte Wan, and a few other young socialites. I quietly watched them, mentally matching each face to a name, one by one. Unexpectedly, Lucian Lu turned and looked at me. Our eyes met for a brief moment, then he turned away, resuming his conversation. This party was mainly for peers. In high society, the social connections of the younger generation were just as crucial as those of the adults. Hey, whose family are you from? A male student standing next to me bluntly appraised me from head to toe. The dress was indeed a designer piece, but to truly showcase the status of a young lady, it had to be accompanied by dazzling jewelry, exquisite makeup, soft, smooth skin, and most importantly, the social grace to navigate such a party. I didn't intend to hide it, so I answered frankly, I am young Master Lu's classmate and tutor. He burst out laughing, pulling a few others closer. I heard about her. She's the maid's daughter from the Lu family. Well, clothes really do make the person. She's actually quite pretty seeing her like this. Young Master Lu dotes on her so much that he even buys her dresses. Doesn't that mean something's going on? They all burst into laughter, as if they knew some unspeakable secret between Lucian Lu and me. I was about to open my mouth and call out young master, when a girl next to me pulled my arm, signaling me to stay quiet. Then, with a cold expression, she told them, You'd better stop talking. You might bring trouble upon yourselves. The boys completely ignored her, smirking. Bring trouble? What does she intend to show us? If she can seduce young Master Lu, she must have something pretty good to show, right? Ha ha ha! I immediately raised my voice. Young master! There are people here daring to hit a dog without looking at its master's face. I know, Lucian Lu interrupted, leading a group of young masters and ladies toward us. The girl beside me sighed, stepping back and giving the boys a look that clearly said, Good luck to you all. Lucian Lu asked coldly, What's going on now? Seeing Lucian Lu come to my defense, those guys immediately looked flustered. We were just joking, it's nothing. That's right, just a bit of chat. Amidst the curious gazes of the crowd, I stated in a serious tone, They're saying that the young master and I have an ambiguous relationship. This kind of rumor, which is even slanderous, I believe the young master should be fully aware of. I heard Lucian Lu sigh. He said, Don't you guys know how to save face? Those guys immediately groveled in apology. Cedric Coe added a sarcastic remark. "Lucien, your birthday party seems to let in any stray dog or cat, doesn't it?" Lucien Lu was truly angered. He immediately called for the butler to escort those people out. The party concluded smoothly. Not only did I not have to endure the humiliations of my previous life, but Lucien Lu also stood up for me. It was just like a novel about a poor female protagonist assigned as a cold young master's classmate, who then gradually melts his heart. The feelings between the two of us were quietly changing. 2 years later, we graduated from high school, and I followed Lucien Lu to America. Our relationship hadn't changed much, except that he had grown accustomed to my temperament and care. I was a good student. Even in America, I consistently ranked among the top 3 in my major. Lucien Lu would occasionally express his bewilderment. "You don't need to work so hard. When we return, you'll work at my company, and your salary and bonuses won't be short by a single cent. I didn't bring you to America just for you to live on instant noodles." I slurped down my bowl of noodles without even lifting my head. "Tomorrow, treat me to a feast. Thank you, thank you." Lucien Lu was speechless and went to eat his own noodles. America was a place of extreme freedom, so free that it felt as if one's very soul could run naked everywhere. Lucien Lu was not the timid type. In fact, quite the opposite. Looking at what he had done in his previous life, he was someone who knew how to truly enjoy himself. Enjoyment was the prerogative of those at the top. When wealth and status were predetermined from birth, the only things left to stimulate the senses were everything else. Lucien Lu had an extremely complicated love life. It was probably a common affliction among young masters. I had inadvertently stumbled upon a few scenes that required blurring, but I was never surprised. Everyone was quite nonchalant about it. Lucien Lu, of course, was nonchalant. The girls he was seeing were nonchalant, and I was even more nonchalant than all of them. I picked up my laptop and advised, "Young master, remember to use protection. Illnesses are a real bother." After saying that, I gently closed the door. Charlotte Wan also studied abroad in America. Although she wasn't attending the same school as Lucien Lu, they had no shortage of opportunities to meet. She hadn't become the radiant and dazzling young lady she imagined herself to be. Even though she couldn't completely trample me during high school, her nature was hard to change. She merely found different ways to vent. She herself once said that there always had to be someone beneath her feet. Both of them had long passed their dreamy teenage years, now openly living in a kind of open relationship, each going their own way. As for me, I merely glided through this chaotic world, only knowing how to keep my head down and focus on my studies. Year after year, it was only occasionally, when I stared intently at the chat window on my phone, that I would suddenly realize this was a world completely different from my previous life. Lucien Lu, who had just finished showering, was drying his hair when he poked his head over my shoulder from behind. "What are you watching?" The faint scent of shower gel and steam still clung to him. Our cheeks were less than a handspan apart. I didn't even need to tilt my head to clearly see his eyelashes. At 21, Lucien Lu was fully grown, with broad shoulders, long legs, and sharp, arrogant features. He was the type of person molded from wealth and glamour, possessing a very unique allure. Yet, our relationship remained innocent, merely a little too close for comfort compared to a normal friendship. I turned my phone to show him. My sister sent a picture. Lucien Lu looked for a moment, then straightened up, leaving me with a single comment. "Not as pretty as you." Then he turned and walked away. Yet, they clearly were identical faces. After graduating in America, I returned to our home country with Lucien Lu, accompanied by Cedric Coe and Charlotte Wan. The former playboy young master had now transformed into a talented young entrepreneur, swirling a wine glass as he commanded the business world. I naturally became Lucien Lu's assistant. Cedric Coe had tried to probe the nature of my relationship with Lucien Lu several times. After learning the truth, he became very actively intent on poaching me. These repeated attempts annoyed Lucien Lu, who directly warned Cedric Coe not to approach me again. Charlotte Wan ventured into the entertainment industry. In this day and age, even a beautiful young lady without acting talent could garner countless fans, let alone one whose family was ready to pour money into her career, ensuring no shortage of resources. However, one time paparazzi snapped photos of her and Lucien Liu entering and leaving a place together, unearthing their relationship to its very roots. Topping the hot search was inevitable, with phrases like childhood sweethearts, perfect match, a match made in heaven, and even my ship has sailed, appearing everywhere. Hounded by paparazzi, Lucien Liu immediately called Charlotte Wan for a heated argument. After all, both of them were self-centered individuals, so arguments were a daily occurrence. After hanging up, Lucien Liu said in a deep voice, "Luna Tran, cancel tomorrow's schedule." I nodded. "Understood, Mr. Liu." Lately, Lucien Liu had indeed been under immense pressure. Stepping into the company, what he had to face was vastly different from his school days. He slumped onto the sofa, a visible layer of exhaustion clouding his face like mist. He said, "Take me to the World Banquet." The World Banquet, the Yen, as its name suggested, it was a place like a global feast, a haven for pleasure-seeking and lavish indulgence among the elite. I glanced at the clock. It was already 11:30. Without another word, I replied, "Understood. I'll get the car." Just as I was about to leave, Lucien Liu grabbed my wrist, pulling me off balance and straight into him. I gasped softly, "Young master?" Lucien Liu embraced me tightly, sighing helplessly. "Luna Tran, do you have any idea how long I've endured this?" My eyes widened. Seriously and innocently, I asked, "Endured what? Are you hurting somewhere? You—" So many words choked in his throat. Finally, he gave a bitter laugh and released me. "You're too pure. To the point I can't bring myself to break it." I lowered my gaze to the top of his head and innocently replied, "Exactly. I bathe every day." In the end, Lucien Liu went to the World Banquet alone, while I considered myself off work. When I arrived home, a single nightlight still glowed in the living room. I pushed open the living room door. Star Tran was indeed still awake. She was wearing headphones, completely immersed in her own world. Her waist-length hair was still dripping wet, clearly indicating she had just showered and hadn't dried it yet. The floor was littered with drafts, and she was tapping something on an electronic piano-like device, her expression utterly focused, completely oblivious to anyone else in the room. I didn't disturb her, quietly withdrew, and returned to my own room. Sitting down at my desk, I continued to flip through the remaining 2 sets of documents. I knew very well that these 2 parties had no common ground with the Liu Group system. To achieve my goal, I definitely had to leverage others' power. Lucien Liu was of marrying age, and the Wan family and Liu family were implicitly expected to form a marriage alliance. Mr. and Mrs. Liu urged him to quickly get engaged to Charlotte Wan. But Lucien Liu seemed to be entering a rebellious phase. He acted as if he didn't hear them, and if pushed too hard, he would turn stone-faced and storm out, slamming the door. While working, I occasionally looked up and caught his gaze on me, complex and inscrutable. The Wan family's influence had been declining recently, making them even more eager to secure this marriage alliance. Charlotte Wan came to see Lucien Liu more and more frequently, even proactively leaking news to the media that they were about to get engaged to create media buzz. Lucien Liu was pressured from both within and without, and his temper worsened by the day, making the atmosphere in the company tense and stifling. I continued to fulfill my duties as the CEO's assistant diligently, never interjecting or gossiping. Yet I couldn't help but hear Lucien Liu start spouting emotional remarks. Luna Tran, born into a family like this, unable to even decide one's own marriage. How pathetic. I couldn't help but let out a dry chuckle. Right. He looked at me, his voice gloomy. Even if you're a block of wood, you should at least understand the situation, I retorted bluntly. Mr. Liu, I'm gold. You have gold as your assistant, yet you don't appreciate it, instead complaining that I'm wood. Bang! He flared up and stormed off. Charlotte Wan came to see me one day when I was the only one in the office. Luna Tran. She sat cross-legged on the sofa, her voice haughty. Coffee. I brought the coffee and placed it in her hand. She took a sip and smiled gently. I'm impressed you still remember my preference. Then her tone shifted, filled with hidden meaning. No wonder Ahuk can't do without you. You take such meticulous care of him. I remained expressionless. Mr. Lu pays quite well. Humph, Charlotte Wan chuckled disdainfully. Don't play innocent with me. Do you think I don't see what Ahuk thinks of you? After all these years, you've finally become his white moonlight. I pretended not to understand. Miss Wan, I don't follow what you're saying at all. She stood up, her gaze dismissive. It doesn't matter if you don't understand. Ahuk has been dragging his feet on our engagement because of you. I'll just have to find another way. Assistant Tran, just you wait and see. I calmly saw her out. Miss Wan, please take your time. Charlotte Wan indeed went all out. She directly approached Star Tran, offering a 1 million deposit and telling Star Tran to seduce Lucien Liu. In her eyes, Lucien Liu was simply insistent on not getting engaged because he couldn't have me. She believed that as long as he got someone like me, even a substitute, the feeling of being unattainable would vanish, allowing him to let go of his obsession. Logically, it sounded plausible, but the problem lay with Star Tran, the girl who only had music in her head all day, on the verge of going crazy from a lack of inspiration, just happened to encounter Charlotte Wan right at her doorstep. At first, dazed, Star Tran didn't recognize who it was until she heard Charlotte introduce herself and state her purpose. Star Tran was startled. Her memories from her past life and her current mental state clashed, and in less than a second, she immediately called the police. When I arrived home, the police were comforting Star Tran. She was crying so hard she was nearly fainting. Luna Tran, I'm so scared, boo-hoo-hoo. As soon as she saw me, Star Tran lunged into my arms, weeping torrentially. Standing beside us was Charlotte Wan, with a face I'd never seen so dark. It felt as though she had cursed me and Star Tran 1,000 times over in her mind. According to Charlotte's assistant, Star Tran had shrieked, backing away while calling the police and frantically tearing at her own hair, yelling, "Don't come any closer, you inhumane devil! Don't you dare hurt me again!" The police were at a loss with someone as uncommunicative as Star Tran. They could only tactfully suggest, "Miss Tran, perhaps you should take your sister for a checkup?" I gave a forced smile and nodded. "Yes, I'll take her for a checkup. My apologies for troubling you, gentlemen." No sooner had I seen the police off than I heard someone call out, "Luna Tran, what's going on?" As soon as Lucien Liu appeared, the atmosphere immediately grew tense again. This time, it was because of Charlotte Wan. She had been simmering with resentment, and now she exploded. "Lucien Liu, what are you doing here? At your assistant's house?" Not wanting to get caught in her outburst, I carried Star Tran back to her room. Luna Tran had calmed down by then, her body worn out from crying too much. She softly said, "I'm sorry, I caused you trouble again." I gently wiped away her tears. "It's me who dragged you into trouble." After recounting everything that had happened, Star Tran's eyes were still red-rimmed, but she smiled. "I told you, you can live well anywhere, but don't think about revenge for my sake anymore. You're healthy and I'm healthy. In this life, that's enough. My Star Tran, forever so gentle, forever thinking of me first. Don't worry, you know me best. I know what should be done and what shouldn't." Star Tran shifted over, and I lay down beside her. We held hands, foreheads touching. I whispered, "Whether it's the Liu family or the Wan family, to me now, they're just insignificant flies buzzing around a mighty tree. But we're still young, and we have plenty of time to deal with this." "I'm so happy, Luna Tran. I have a talent for music. The songs I write are loved by many, and every day I have you by my side. My biggest headache is just how to write better songs. That's something I never even dared to dream of in my previous life." She smiled innocently. "Let's cherish this happiness together, okay?" I smiled too. "Yes, absolutely." A knock sounded from outside. I pulled the blanket over Star Tran and went to open the door. Charlotte Wan had already left. Lucien Liu stood there looking tired. "Why didn't you tell me from the beginning?" I poured him a cup of tea. "Because it wasn't necessary." Not necessary? His voice rose slightly. I am... He choked on his words, then gave up. Has Cedric Coe contacted you lately? I nodded honestly. President Coe invited me for dinner a few times, but it coincided with work, so I declined. Lucien Liu let out a laugh that held a hint of schadenfreude, yet also a touch of empathy. He looked at me, mumbling, "What kind of charm do you even possess?" 3 years later, Lucien Liu had passed his rebellious phase and solemnly became engaged to Charlotte Wan. My position remained his CEO assistant, but my work now was completely different from when I first joined the company. I was in charge of key projects, with executive power almost equal to half of a director. Charlotte Wan's media stunts became increasingly elaborate. While Cedric Coe relentlessly tried to poach me in various ways, Lucien Liu was incredibly busy, his aura making everyone keep their distance. Conversely, I was very happy. Startran had participated in a singing competition. Although she didn't win first place, she took third, receiving a lot of flowers and public affection. Coming home from work, seeing her short hair, I was startled. "Little Star, your hair? What happened?" In that instant, a flurry of thoughts raced through my head. Anti-fans attacking, acid being thrown. Startran brushed powder from her hands, smiled, and walked up to me, spinning once. "What's with that expression? Doesn't it look good? My fans all say my short hair is pretty." I sighed in relief, stroking her head. "Yes, it looks beautiful." Startran continued to hum as she cooked. The drawer where I kept my diary now only contained information about the Liu and Wan family's corporations. I always liked to be one step ahead. If an easier path appeared before I directly brought them down, I wouldn't miss it. Therefore, every day I secretly prayed, praying that they would mess themselves up internally. Science or superstition, I believed both. A mind undistracted will naturally find its echo. He, Cedric, had recently completed a major project. In a relaxed mood, he liked to stir up trouble when he was free. He even brazenly drove to the company entrance to pick me up, saying he wanted to invite me to dinner. This matter reached Lucien Liu's ears the next day. He immediately ordered security to bar Cedric Coe's car. Time flowed like water. The year I turned 28, Lucien Liu and Charlotte Wan got married, trending on real-time hot search. 2 months later, I proactively resigned. Due to a non-compete clause in my contract, I temporarily became unemployed. Startran seemed to have known about this beforehand. She pulled out a bank card and proudly handed it to me. "Spend as much as you like." I didn't stand on ceremony and took it immediately. Lucien Liu probably thought I left because I was heartbroken. He got drunk and came looking for me several times, but each time I, cold and unyielding as ever, sent him away. During 2 years at home, I didn't waste any time. The connections I built at Liu Group didn't disappear with my resignation. I also kept a close watch on Charlotte Wan's every move. When I turned 30, Startran released a song commemorating her 30th birthday. I put on my office suit again and stepped into the Co-Group building. The sky turns gloomy, thick clouds but no rain yet. Your umbrella appears before my eyes. Looking up, a face strangely similar to mine. Startran held an umbrella out to me, gently reminding me, "Call me when you're done. I'll pick you up." Cedric Coe walked out of the building and froze when he saw us sisters. Startran leaned in and whispered in my ear, "Luna Tran, are you choosing him this time? Whether letting go or standing by, both are a form of cruelty. I will always choose you." Everything was gradually moving in a completely different direction from my previous life. So what? I knew he no longer felt the same way about me. So what? Their malice was no longer aimed at me. So what? Our feelings had changed. So what? I was just a snail, with a knife hidden in its shell, slowly crawling up the grapevine, patiently waiting for the grapes to ripen. End.